have investigated the motivational forces that drive millennial performance. They have conducted primary research to collect firsthand data on how millennials communicate. They have developed profound resources for leaders of every industry to create a more generationally inclusive environment. I want to applaud you for choosing this book. It is the first step to a journey of creating awesomeness at work. Organizations that apply the contents of this book are excelling in their industry, while businesses that refuse to embrace it are being left in the dust. The only place there is a generation gap is in our heads. Working with corporate management teams has taught me that every employee wants what millennials want: fulfillment, recognition, appreciation, and compensation. This book will provide you with incredible insight into managing the next generation. But more than just managing millennials, this book will fundamentally change how you lead and relate to others. Get ready to have your mind and your influence rocked. Get ready to finally understand the millennials. Introduction. Close encounters with a different kind. Raise your hand if you've ever had an encounter at work with a younger employee that left you completely puzzled. Relax, you are not alone. There are currently 4 generations at work: builders, baby boomers, Gen X, and millennials. And 3 of the generations have been playing nice together for well over a decade. Therefore, our attention will focus on where most of the angst lies, between the new kids on the block, millennials, and the other age cohorts. We are constantly amazed at how the topic of managing the millennials resonates with people. Standing in line for a latte, on a plane, or at a cocktail party, when we talk about our research, it creates a buzz. Although interested in hearing about our findings, people are even more eager to tell their own story. Odds are that if you bought this book, you have your own story, you have lived it, and you have experienced the tension. A few years ago, we began to notice a growing frustration among managers and business leaders with integrating younger workers into their organizations. Activities that in the past had been relatively straightforward, like recruiting, retaining, and rewarding, now seemed more challenging than ever. And we were not the only ones who noticed. Newspapers, journals, magazines, niche publications, 60 Minutes, and even movies have captured the phenomena of the millennial in the workplace. The stories portrayed reactions that ranged from amazement to incredulity to outrage. These reactions are the result of values and behaviors exhibited by millennial employees, which cause them to appear distinctly different from their vocational forerunners, and which are undermining norms that have supported the workplace for decades. This book is the result of a 2-year study to find out how managers can be successful with their millennial employees in the face of these challenges. We wanted to get inside the relational dynamics. Our objective was to identify behaviors and traits exhibited by millennials that managers deemed problematic. We interviewed hundreds of managers and employees in a variety of work environments. Data from the interviews were used to build a model, which we explain in the following chapters. The model illustrates the different values held by each generation. It also shows how behaviors exhibited by the holders of those values are often misperceived, and how those misperceptions in turn lead to intergenerational tension. We explain why generations have differing values, and how such values manifest through behaviors and interactions that create tension in the workplace. Specifically, we identify 9 points of tension that result from clashing value systems in a cross-generational management context, and 9 competencies required to mitigate each counterproductive disconnect. We have committed a chapter to each of the competencies. Each chapter describes the tension, potential disconnect, and the competency that leads to generational rapport. Our mission is not just to describe the conflict. We go beyond that to provide tools for resolving the tension that inhibits the success of both managers and millennials. If you're a listener of management literature, then you are familiar with many of the managerial leader practices in this book. Some practices are familiar, while others are novel, but all have received respect in academic and practitioner literatures. However, concepts and models